Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane here, and this is live stream number 145? 140 something. It's either 145 or 146. This is 145. All right, cool. 145, and I'm going to be sharing some of my process with you guys as a songwriter and a music producer. I use this segment just to share with you guys some of what goes into to vocals, guitar, recording, songwriting, all that kinds of stuff. And so for this stream, we're going to be talking all about guitars. We're just going to gush over our favorite guitar models, our favorite guitar players, our favorite, which, by the way, when I say guitar models, I mean like guitars, not models who play guitars. So stupid joke there. So yes. Hey, we got Jack in the chat. Hey, Jack, hope you're doing well. Evening, Quincy in chat. Jack, I hope you're doing well. Jack, have you ever had any interest in playing guitar? I can't remember if you do play a little bit or if you're just a fan of music. If you have any interest in learning, which, by the way, if you ever want to learn, I don't think it's ever too late. So definitely, get yourself a guitar and start learning. It's fun to play. But that's what we're going to be doing for this stream. We're just going to be talking about gear and technique. To be honest, I have a lot planned to kind of talk about, but I'm not really sure how things are going to play out. It just sort of depends on you guys in the chat, like what kind of things you bring up, what we start discussing, what we start exploring, and which by all means, this is also a Q&A. So feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer. And they can be anything, guitar related. It can be questions about guitar technique. It can be how to play a certain song. It can be, I don't mind teaching you guys some stuff if you want to learn a little something, maybe some kind of riff or some technique or something like that. We can be talking about tips for practicing guitar or for recording guitar. How do you get certain guitar sounds? What kind of guitars to get? Things beginners should know. Things, for those of you who are more experienced, we can kind of share some things we've discovered that have worked well for us. So, who knows where exactly this is going to go. But I'm hoping it'll be fun, and I'm hoping it'll be interesting. So by all means, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. But I'm going to start kind of sharing a few things about my guitar. So, Jack, I hope you're doing well. You'll have to let me know how your week has been so far and if anything particularly eventful or fun has happened lately. And I'm going to, let's see, what are we going to dive into first here? Well, I guess we're going to sort of, I guess I'll start talking a little bit about what I've been working with. So the way I do these streams, the way I perform for you guys is I am essentially playing along with a backing track. So what that means is, let me see if I can explain my setup here. So it starts with me, and there are two things coming from me going to you guys. There's the microphone that I'm using here, and there's also the guitar. So both of these are plugged into my setup over here. I'm actually going to turn the camera. So a little behind the scenes, you guys get to, you've never seen over here. There's those water fountains, by the way. Everyone's always like, why is there a water fountain? It's because I'm in a hallway at my church right now. There we go. These little magical boxes. It's funny. For the long time, I just called these, I can't remember what I called them, but I remember my brother-in-law had these units, and I just called them boxes. I was like, what do you call that musical box, or that thing you plug into? And it's like, I didn't know what these are. These are different units, 3 different boxes here. This first one is an interface. And so it's an audio interface. So what this does, this allows you to plug in either a microphone or a guitar. This one actually doesn't allow you to plug in a microphone. I'll talk about that. But it allows you to plug in a guitar or anything else with an instrument cable, and then that goes into your computer. So that's how you guys hear it. My microphone actually goes into this box here. This is a preamp. So this is the thing, which, by the way, whenever my mic gets quiet, I always have to kind of juice it. There's a little volt button there, voltage button kind of thing. That's called phantom power. We'll talk about that later. But that's what my mic goes into, and then my mic also goes into this. This is a compressor that compresses the audio a little bit so everything's more consistent, so that it's not super quiet and then super loud, everything stays at a relatively even volume. And then all of that goes into the interface, which then goes into the computer. Hello. All right. Hopefully I'm back. Let me know if the audio is okay over there, because while I was turning it, I accidentally unplugged everything going from there into here. So hopefully that didn't like totally mess everything up. But so yeah, Jack, let me know if everything sounds okay out there. Let me get my camera set back up the way I like it. So yeah, everything plugs into that system there and then goes into the computer. And I'll talk about what happens there in just a moment. Let me catch up with the chat. Jack was saying, mostly just here to support. I played an acoustic guitar when I was a kid, but I was always too clumsy. No, I wouldn't say you were too clumsy. I would just say you were probably inexperienced. And so if you kept at it and you kept playing, that clumsiness would have gone away eventually. Had an eye exam today. Left eye is messed up, but the optometrist thinks that it can be improved with new glasses. So it wasn't all that bad. Well, cool. Well, have you gotten new glasses yet, or is that on the list? Are you about to get some? And can hear you again. All right, cool. Thanks for giving me the feedback there. I had to get some new glasses fairly recently. I've been wearing my contacts more lately. I have worn my glasses for these streams before, but I tend to favor my contacts. I had the same glasses since, like, I think 2011, something like that. I had them for a long time. I guess I took good care of them, and they always worked. And then, unfortunately, the way I broke them, it was because of my last seizure that I had, which thankfully has, that's a whole other story. But when I had that, they fell off, and I woke up and they were broken, and so I had to get new glasses, and I needed to get an updated eye exam, and so sure enough, my prescription needed to be adjusted for that. So I do have new glasses now, but I mainly use them mostly when I'm just winding down. I'll wear them in the morning, and then eventually after my morning routine, I'll put my contacts in. And then at the evening, like after this stream, when I go home, I'll change into my sleeping clothes, and I'll take my contacts out, and I'll kind of just relax with my glasses on. So, but I got them, just a few months ago. I haven't even had them for a year yet. So, yeah, have you gotten your new glasses yet, or is that on the list to do? Okay, so I was showing you guys how this microphone takes a cable that goes into that interface over there, my gear that I have over there. This guitar also has a cable that goes there. Now, they both use different kinds of cables, but we're not going to stress about that right now. They're two different types of cables, but goes into all that, and then all of that goes through the interface, which goes into the computer. Now, when I'm in the computer, what do you do with the sound? How do you get it to come from the computer? What do you do? What we have, there is a software that allows you to edit or manipulate or produce audio. These are called DAWs. That stands for Digital Audio Workstation, and that's what it is. It's a workstation for working on digital audio. So that's what it does. The audio goes into your computer, and that's what I use. So you can set up these different tracks to focus on each thing. So I have a track just for my guitar. That's what this one is here. I can turn it on and off. I have another track for my mic. Again, I can turn that on and off and on. You can hear my voice coming in and out because I'm messing with the input there. And then I also have my backing tracks. I have the backing tracks here. If I play it. So that's what I'm going through when I play this. I've got my backing track, and then I'm just able to play along. So I have that backing track. My guitar is coming through. Now, the guitar doesn't just sound like this. There are a bunch of things that are processing the audio so that that it sounds this way. So I get that nice rock and metal guitar tone. But basically, once I have that sound, I'm able to play along with the backing track. So I could play instrumentally if I wanted to, Awful improv, There we go. So got a little carried away there, which, by the way, you can hear the delay on my voice now because when I'm singing, I've got it set up so that when the track is playing, it adds delay to my voice. So I get that, that nice little echo when I'm singing. And then when I get away from the backing track, it goes away. And now my voice is nice and dry and just super clear so you guys can hear it. So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. Jack is saying, funny story, my acoustic guitar was gifted to my stepmother's nephew, okay, and he went on to a good career in folk music. Okay, cool. So it didn't go to waste. Well, I'm glad he made use of it, and that's cool that he plays some folk music and that kind of thing. Acoustic's definitely fun to have. I don't own an acoustic guitar. Right now, I just borrow my dad's or my brother's. One of these days, I'll have to get my own, but as of right now, I have access to someone else's. I've shared this story before, but this guitar that I'm holding here is actually my first guitar, super special to me, and but this is also my first guitar. I got this guitar back on my 20th birthday, so that was like 12, almost 13 years ago. And the reason it's my first guitar is because I always had someone else's to use. I come from a big family. My brothers and my dad, they all had acoustic guitars, so I just played on those. And then whenever I went to my church, I liked rock music and I liked metal, but I think my brother-in-law, he had his electric guitar. He just left it at the church, and so it was always there, so I could always play that. And I just always had someone else's guitar to use. Even my friends, they had guitars, so when I would go to their houses, I would just grab their guitar and play it. Like I never needed one, and it wasn't until later. Jack says, haven't gotten the new glasses yet. Well, you'll have to let me know when you get them and how you like them. Sometimes it can be fun to get some new glasses. Maybe change up your style a little bit, change up your look. Jack was saying, have you ever played with a pick? So I don't know if you can tell, but I actually always play with a pick. And we can talk a little bit about that. So there's different kinds of guitar picks, and they're very important. But it depends on the style you're playing. So usually, this isn't a rule, but usually with electric guitar, it's very common to play with a guitar pick. This is the kind of pick I like to use. This is actually a custom pick. I think I might have even sent you one. I can't remember. Jack, did I send you one of these picks? But it's got my logo on it. But it's based off of a model of pick that I like. There's picks come in different shapes and sizes and different thicknesses as well. And basically, I used to just grab whatever pick I had available to me. But as I got more into guitar and I got more serious, I started looking into it, like what's recommended? What kind of picks are recommended for the style of music that I play? And so, in metal and rock, usually if you're doing a lot of, shredding, a lot of really fast picking, and not that I shred a whole lot, but that's definitely part of what I do. Kind of the go-to pick that is often recommended is this one right here. It is the Dunlop Jazz 3. And actually I think this is it. Yeah. This is actually the Dunlop Jazz 3, and I don't know if you could tell. I use the XL, which is a little bit bigger. So, but you can see it's a very, very pointy pick. It's got like a nice sharp tip to it, and it's a very thick pick. I think it's 1.36 millimeters or something like that. Main point is like it's hard to bend. Like if I were to really do it, it could, but when you're playing, this thing is not going to bend easily. It's kind of like playing with a pencil a little bit. It's nice. It's got some firmness to it, which is very nice. Now, when I got my custom picks made, they're modeled after the same. You can see it's a very similar shape. And I've actually gotten used to playing my custom ones. Mine are very smooth. They don't have there's kind of some texture on the actual Dunlop 3s. Like there's a little bit of grip there, which is nice. But I don't know. I've kind of gotten used to mine. I like the way they feel. They're really cool. Hey, we got Stan in the chat. Hey, Stan. Hope you're doing well. Stan, we're talking all about guitars, talking about guitar picks right now. But if you have any questions about guitars, feel free to. If you want to grab your guitar and you want to learn a little something, you can ask me, for tips or tricks or whatever. I'm going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, but by any means, feel free to ask questions. Jack was just asking if I played with a pick, and I was explaining that I do play with a pick. The model I like to use is the Dunlop Jazz 3, and I like to use the XL, the extra large. So it's bigger, kind of gives you more surface to grab onto. If you compare the two, here's just a regular Jazz 3, and here's the XL Jazz 3. Here's the regular one. You can see it's a much smaller pick, and it's not too bad playing with these, but it's definitely nice playing with something with a little more size. It's kind of easier to grip and play with. And then my custom pick, is based off of the same shape. It's based off of the Dunlop Jazz 3 shape. So, yeah, nice pointy pick, really good when you're trying to pick fast, and it's also firm. You want a nice firm pick when you're playing something, you know, really quick. Let's see. You want that pick to do like exactly what you tell it to do, you know, exactly what you're trying to do, which I don't know if you could even see my picking hand while I was doing that, but by the way, can anyone name what solo that was from? That's one of my songs, so you'll have to let me know. Jack was saying, I have to admit, I never noticed you using a pick. That's awesome. I guess the strings would get hard on your fingers. Yeah, that's kind of the right idea. Yeah, using your fingers, it's very hard to play quick. It's very hard to be accurate and pick that kind of notes. And yes, it would be tricky. You can strum with your fingers, but you also get a different sound. So I'll try to kind of show you. But with the pick's nice and hard, so you get this nice, you know, this nice punchy sound, whereas your fingers, if I tried to do the same thing, it's going to be a much softer sound. With the pick. And again, all that noodly stuff I'm doing, let me try that again. Doing that with my fingers, it'd be really hard to be accurate. Now, there's like some other techniques I could use to kind of like get by. So in picking, what I'm doing there, the technique is called alternate picking, which means I'm alternating between down and up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And you get, that gives you very clear, like just very clear notes. You get a lot of articulation from that. You can hear them very clearly. But there are ways to play those notes faster using a technique called a hammer-on. So this is where you pick just once, and then as that string is still ringing out, you can hammer your finger onto the next fret and still get a noise out of it, even though I'm not picking it. So here's picking, and here's hammering on. So I could play that same phrase. Here's picking, and here's hammering on. Now you can hear the hammer-on sounds a little bit smoother. So it's smoother, you can get really fast with it. You know. Like, I don't know if I could do that picking. Yeah, that's a lot harder for me to do alternate picking. Stan says, I was texting, was that Brothers to the End solo? Nope, it's not from Brothers to the End. The Brothers to the End solo is this one. It's a little sloppy, but yeah, there's Brothers to the End. So yeah, so picking comes in handy. And even that little bit there was some picking, but there was also that last bit, that really fast part. So I'm not picking all of that. I'm not going... I'm actually doing a pull-off, which is the opposite of a hammer-on. A hammer-on is when you're pressing onto the string. A pull-off is when you pick, and then you pull off to the next note. So I'm only picking once on each string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I'm only picking 7 times in that little phrase there. Even though I'm hitting, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I'm hitting like, let's see, 18... 19, 20 notes if you want to count. I don't know if you want to count that as 2. So I'm hitting like 20 notes there, but I'm only picking 7 times. Whoop. If I could play it cleaner. So pull-offs and hammer-ons can be pretty handy when you're trying to get more speed out of stuff, but they do sound, they're a little smoother sounding, which can sometimes be cool, but they don't have as much attack to them. They're definitely not as punchy, and not quite as impressive. You know, some guys that are like really good at playing and they can alt pick like everything they do. It sounds so good and it's really impressive because it's hard to do. But yeah, so I play with a pick. Now there are styles playing without a pick. Finger picking style. So if I switch to like a cleaner tone, Stan says awesome. Well, thanks, Stan. Appreciate that. So, you know, if I was doing more, let's see. Now here's the cool thing about finger picking. I'm actually going to switch to a clean tone for that because that's probably going to sound a little better. So. So that's finger picking. So the way finger picking works is, firstly, I'm using multiple fingers. Rather than just one point of contact that you have with the pick, I've got several points of contact. Now, from what I've learned, most finger picking involves 4 fingers. Usually you don't use the pinky. I don't think that's a rule. I think it's just something that's, you know, usually you don't really need it. But I'm certain that there are guitarists out there who use their pinky. I don't when I finger pick, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people who do that kind of thing. In fact, there's a lot of very unique guitarists out there who use very interesting techniques. So let's see, finger picking. What's cool about finger picking is you're able to combine a lot of musical stuff into one thing. So when you're playing just regular guitar, there's usually 2 parts. You have maybe a rhythm part, so and then you might have like a lead part that does like a you know, and you would layer those parts together. But when you're using your fingers, I can play those bass notes with my thumb. So I'm using my thumb to do that. And then I can use the other fingers to play that melody. Let's see. There we go. So you put them together. So a lot of times when I do my acoustic segments, sometimes I'll play with a pick, and then sometimes I'll play with just my fingers for the acoustic segment. So it just depends on the style of music and what kind of sound you're going for. You can finger pick with a distorted tone. I'm sure you can. It's a little harder just because the distortion, by definition, is not very clear. So it's very hard. You know, if I play that same thing, you know, you can do it, but it might not necessarily sound the best. Now there's me, you know, like that's an example of me playing guitar with just, you know, my fingers. So, you know, and I'm pretty sure there are electric guitarists out there who do use their fingers, but for my particular style, I tend to use a pick. So, cool. So anyone just tuning in, don't be shy, say hello. And again, we're just talking all about guitars. In fact, if anyone out there, if you have a guitar, let me know what model guitar you have. Stan, I can't remember. Do you only have an acoustic guitar or do you have an electric guitar? You'll have to let me know. I know you've got an electric bass, but I can't remember if you have an electric guitar or not. If so, let me know what kind of electric guitar you have. Again, I'll talk a little bit about this guitar that I'm playing here. Oh, one more thing I'll say about picks real quick, though. So again, I like the Jazz 3. That's my favorite type of pick, but there are different kinds of picks. And again, I use a different type of pick when I play on acoustic. So on acoustic, sometimes I will use a pick, and sometimes I'll just use my fingers. But when I use a pick, I usually use more of a medium pick. So I don't know if you can see this, but like if I hold this up, so the pick I use for electric is a lot thicker. It's very hard to bend. You know, like if I try to wiggle it, it stays very stiff. But the medium pick has a little more, see that? How I can kind of whoop, whoop, whoop. You know, it's got more give to it, a little more bend. So this is kind of a medium pick. This is the thicker pick I use is like 1.36 millimeters, something like that. Might even be 38. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it's 1.38 millimeters. But this medium is 0.6 or 0.60 millimeters, you know, so it's a bit thinner. And what that does is it kind of makes it, when you press down, the pick's got a little more give to it. Hey, we got Silas in the chat. Hey, Silas, hope you're doing well. Silas, we're just talking all about guitars, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions about guitars. Let me know. I'm pretty sure you've got an electric guitar. I think you've got a Fender, if I remember correctly. I can't. Let me know what kind of guitar you got. And if you have any questions, if there's anything you want to learn, like to play on guitar, let me know. But yes, this pick being a bit thinner is it's got more give to it. So when you press, it bends a little bit. But that can be very nice, especially for strumming. Let me go back to the clean tone, and you might hear the difference here. So if I switch to a clean tone, I'm just going to play a simple chord. All right, and here's me strumming with the thicker pick. And now the thinner pick. It might be a little softer. It might blend together more. Whereas the thick pick, it's going to be more kind of pokey. You know, it's got a little more aggression to it. And that's not good or bad. It just depends on the style of music that you're playing. So hopefully that came through, and hopefully you could hear the difference. I'll do it one more time with the distortion. The distortion might not be as noticeably different. That's the thick. Let me go to the medium. So you'll have to let me know if you can hear any difference there. You can definitely feel a difference. And I think when you're trying to get good at like really fast stuff, when you're trying to do fast stuff, you really want a stiffer pick. You want something thicker. The thinner ones, they're a little too floppy, so it's really hard to... It's really hard to like pick fast with a thinner pick. But what they do, they are very good at making your notes more consistent. So you can have a lot of dynamic range with the thicker pick, as in you can play soft and harder. But with this one, if you play softer and harder, there might not be quite as noticeable a difference. And that could be to your benefit sometimes. So usually when I play acoustic guitar, I like to use a medium pick. And when I play bass, most bassists tend to play with their fingers. But for like rock and metal, it sounds really good to play with a pick for bass. And I usually like to use a medium pick for bass as well. Let's see here. Silas was saying hello to Jack. He was saying, hi, Jack. And Jack said, don't say that at the airport, Silas. So, yeah, so just remember, guys, if any of you ever see Jack at an airport, don't say, hi, Jack. Try to say hello or hey, use another greeting. Don't say hi, Jack, because you might be suspected after that. Silas was saying, as you may have seen in my Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar solo cover, I play a Squier version of a Fender Stratocaster. That's right. So Fender is a guitar brand, and they have a second sort of off, it's not off-brand. They have a secondary brand called Squier, and it's the same thing for Gibson and Epiphone. So what that is Fender is like, that's the guitar brand. They make some very high-quality guitars. But then they have a branch called Squier, and Squier makes similar models, but with more affordable material. You know, it's not quite as high quality, and so you're able to get a similar type of guitar, but for a more affordable price. And so so it sounds like it's the Stratocaster, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys, you can't even see, but behind me I've actually got a guitar back here. One second. Forgot I had my, one second. This is my brother-in-law's, I guess it's a Stratocaster type model. Trying to get my headphones back on. Okay. This is my brother-in-law's guitar. I grabbed this just in case if we end up playing and we need to do anything in standard tuning. His is in a different tuning than mine. It's not plugged in right now, but he actually kind of custom built this. So he got his name ingrained on the head. I think it's a stock headpiece that he designed and sanded, and he did the color here, and he's kind of modified this. So he's very hands-on like that. He likes doing that kind of thing. So yeah, he's more hands-on. I'm kind of like, let me just give me something that works so I can play with it, you know. But he likes to kind of build and customize his own things. So, but I think this is probably a similar style of guitar that Silas has. It's kind of that Stratocaster shape and style. Well, let's see here. Stanley was saying, I have noticed on bass, I like a more medium pick to get a little sharper, yet like my finger sounds. Yeah, because it's not so stiff. The sharpness, you get some accuracy, from the pick, a little more accurate than your fingers. But it's a nice balance. It's like you get a little more clarity, but at the same time, it's not going to be as soft as using like the flesh of your finger, because it's a different consistency. The flesh or the skin on your fingers is much softer than the plastic of the pick. Let's see here. But yes, Silas, by the way, guys, Silas has been posting a few guitar videos. He's been doing a good job with, he's done a few like solos and things like that. And so you'll have to check out his channel and show him some love over there. Silas says, sort of like a cheaper, more beginner version. Yeah, and everyone needs to start somewhere. And to be honest, like a lot of those guitars, they've got everything you need when you're just starting off. Like they're good quality guitars for starting off. But if and when you're ready and you want to take it to the next level, then you can go for more expensive. And to be honest, for brands like Fender and Gibson, a lot of times you are paying for the brand name. They're just very well established brands in the guitar industry, and so some of the money you're spending is just on the name. Like just because it's a Gibson guitar, you're kind of spending on that. There certainly are guitars out there that sound just as good, maybe even better, but they're not nearly as expensive because they don't have the brand name and recognition. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But really, as long as it tunes good, then you can probably work with it. As long as it tunes good and feels good, you can get good sounds out of it. So it's not like more expensive isn't necessarily better when it comes to guitars. And then Silas was saying, sort of like what Van Halen with their signature guitar. Yeah, I think he kind of custom made his guitars a little bit too. So he liked playing around with that kind of thing. But yeah, if you know the exact model, we can actually look that up. We'll talk a little bit about guitars here. So again, the guitar I'm playing. So some of you have maybe heard this story before, but this is actually my first guitar. I got this for my 20th birthday. Again, like what happened? How did that work out? So what happened was when, growing up learning to play guitar, I had a lot of brothers who played guitar as well. My dad played guitar, so I always had an acoustic guitar to play. And then my brother-in-law, I really liked rock music. I didn't have an electric guitar, but my brother-in-law had an electric guitar, and I think he often left it at the church. And so I would just I would write songs on my acoustic guitar, and then I couldn't wait to go to church because I was like, man, I can't wait to hear what this sounds like through the distortion, on the electric guitar. And it was always so satisfying. I'd plug in the guitar and turn it on, and I'd play the song I wrote and hear that distortion. It was like, man, that sounds so cool. And It was always so satisfying. And then even my friends, some of them had electric guitars, and I could just, I would just, when I was at their house, I'd grab it and play it and stuff. I just always had someone else's guitar to use. I never really had a need for my own guitar. And it's actually, I don't know, it's super sweet of my parents. So around 2011, there was an economic crash, like a recession, and things were not going very good. My family, we actually we ended up losing our home, and so we had to. My dad and my mom and some of my siblings, they had to move in with my grandmother. And there wasn't enough room at her house for me to stay, so I ended up moving in with my brother-in-law and my sister. So we were already kind of in a rough spot financially, but shortly after that, my birthday ended up coming around. I'm going to try to keep it together. So I opened up this birthday card, and I opened it up, and just all this cash fell out. It was like just way too much cash for a birthday card. Usually there's like a $20 bill in there or something. It was like $100 bills. I was like, what the heck? Why is there so much money in this card? And I read it, and it was just this sweet note about just mom and dad saying how they were proud of me. And they were saying, we hope you have a happy birthday, and we hope you have a fun time tomorrow when you go to Guitar Center with your dad to get your very own well-deserved guitar. And so that was such a sweet thing for them to do. And I just, I don't know, it was just, I don't know, it just meant a lot to me at that time. And so why did I get this guitar? Before all that had happened, I always forget this part of the story, but I had thought about what kind of guitar I would want to get, and I'd been eyeing this brand called Schecter. That's what my guitar is. It's a Schecter. They were pretty affordable guitars, but they're also just really beautiful. Like, I love the way they looked. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but I don't know if the lighting does it, but you see how it's kind of got this, like, sort of liquidy kind of effect to it. Something about the texture and the painting, it almost looks like some kind of liquid. This being red, it almost kind of has like a blood look to it, or like wine or something like that. But I wanted a blue guitar with that kind of look, because the blue, it reminded me of water. I thought it looked cool, and it was actually a different shape. It was kind of a similar shape to like the Strat shape, a little bit different. But what happened was my friend ended up getting a Schecter, and he got a blue one. He's like, I liked it because it looked like water, and I was like, that's why I wanted that guitar. So it was he ended up getting the guitar I wanted. So I was like, all right, well, I can't get blue because he already got that. But one day I went to, hey, we got Gray Knight in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Looks like Tiger's Eye. Yeah, I think that's a name for it. Yeah, it's kind of got something about that texture. It might be like Tiger's Eye or something like that. But I went to a Guitar Center with my brother-in-law, which, by the way, I don't have a Guitar Center in my local town. We have to drive about an hour and a half to Richmond to get to the nearest Guitar Center. We had music shops, but Guitar Center is like, just huge, just a bunch of guitars there. So, and I remember walking into this sound room, and they had these guitars displayed, and they had this one. It was hanging there, had a spotlight on it, and I was like, man, that is a beautiful guitar. Like, I just loved the way it looked. And I was like, if I ever got a guitar, I think that'd be the one I would get. And so sure enough, when I got that gift card, that birthday card from my parents, and they said I was going to go to Guitar Center, I already kind of knew. I knew what guitar I had in mind, and we went there and went and got this guitar. And the funny thing is, like, at that time, even though I'd been playing for a while, I wasn't like an expert on gear. I didn't know much. I just knew how to play guitar. I didn't really know much about models or strings, what picks were best, or anything about pickups and all that stuff. And thankfully, I got a very solid guitar. I don't know. I'm very pleased with the way this guitar sounds, the way it plays. And technically, I got old strings on here, so it sounds even better when you get new strings on there. But it's just it's been a good guitar, but I kind of lucked out a little bit. I picked kind of just for the looks, but thankfully it's a very high quality guitar as well. Just catching up with the chat here. Jack's saying he'll check out Silas's channel. Sure, I'm subscribed, but didn't get the notification. Yep. And then thanks for the hearts, guys. Yeah, I appreciate that. And some hellos happening. Yep, and he did post his song on the first video. So anyway. this guitar, now it's kind of funny, little side note. So this guitar is called a Schecter Hellraiser Solo 6. And I remember my dad was a little unsure about the name. Didn't really like the name Hellraiser. It was written here. There's this little spot here, and it was written there. I think this is called, I can't even remember what you call this. There's a name for this, but there's a screw here, and if you unscrew this, you can take this little plastic piece off, or whatever material it is. You can take it off, and you have access to the truss rod. It's like a truss rod cover. I guess that's what it's called. The truss rod is this bar that runs through your guitar, and you can adjust that to adjust the action of the strings and the neck. You know, you can straighten the neck, or you can make it a little bit more curved. There's a proper way to set it, and that truss rod allows you to access it. So you can actually buy different truss rod covers, and you can get them customized. You can get like little logos on them and that kind of thing. And so I found one. It actually had this really cool cross. It's kind of similar. Like you can see this one. It's got these little like crucifixes on the neck here. And so I found one that kind of was a similar design. I was like, "Ooh, that would look really cool." And I put it on, but it didn't fit quite perfectly. There was like a little gap there, and unfortunately it didn't work. However, it did work for my friend's guitar, so I ended up giving that to him, and I ended up just using like some kind of I don't know, rubbing alcohol and just rubbing the name off of it. But either way, yeah, love this guitar. Very special to me, and it's been very good for me. It's served me well. So Jack says, the story of your first guitar is beautiful, Quincy. I'm sorry for the rough times your family faced. You know, it was tough, but thankfully things have looked up since then. I would give credit to God's provision and His grace there. You know, it's really like, you know, yeah, it's a hard time. It's a scary time when that thing happens, but it ended up, things have worked out for the best. Again, my parents moved in with our grandmother on the farm. But what ended up happening is over time, unfortunately, my grandmother passed. But when she passed, the home went on to my parents, and they have since been able to remodel and build off of it. And what's happened is we own the farm property. My brother got married, and he moved into a house with his wife, and so there was room for me. So I ended up moving in over at the farm. That's where I currently live. But they own the property. We were able to build and expand the house. That house, it was built originally back in 1913. So it's over 100 years old, and but it's since been taken care of. It's been remodeled. And since we own that property, my brother-in-law and sister, they built their house on the property. So we have this very long driveway, and they live just down the driveway from us. And then my sister and her husband, they moved in and built a house. They built a house and moved into that on the same property. And then my other brother and his wife, they built a house as well. And so we actually had to change our address, and it's like a little road now. It's not just a driveway anymore. It's a road with other houses. And so I'm neighbors with my siblings. So we're actually, because of that property, we're all able to live like in the same proximity as each other. I can just walk to my brother's house or my sister's houses. They're close enough. And yet we have enough space where we have like our privacy, so we're not like intruding. It's not like, you have to yell if you try, there's still some distance away, but at the same time, I don't know. It's really nice just like I can walk the driveway, and it's just really sweet seeing like my nephews and nieces. They'll be riding on the four-wheeler, or I can just hear them outside playing. I can see my brother-in-law hitting golf balls. I can see my brother on the porch grilling burgers, about to have dinner with his family. Like, it's just really sweet being so close to my family, because I'm very close with all my siblings. And so so it all ended up working out. Like, yes, it was a rough patch, but I think it's something that brought us closer as a family, and it just showed the provision of God and how He works in our lives, and how He can take those pitfalls and bring you up out of them and working out for good. So it all ended up working out well, But anyway. Again, anyone tuning in, don't be shy, say hello. And if you have any questions about guitars, let me know. Again, they can be questions about playing techniques. If you want to learn something, if anyone, I don't know if anyone wants to learn a riff from a certain song, or it could be one of my songs or one song that I've covered or something like that. If you just want some tips for, picking and exercise, and maybe we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the playing. So, Stan, Silas, if you guys want to grab your guitars, I'll kind of show you guys a few things real quick. Now, my guitar might be tuned a little different, but I'm going to show you guys what I do to warm up. So warm-ups are very important. And thank you. Yeah, Silas says awesome stuff. Quincy, amen. Yeah, appreciate the emojis, Jack. And Stan was saying, I have an Epiphone Les Paul modeled after Slash from Guns N' Roses. November Rain Sunburst, I think. Yeah, I remember you showing me. It's a pretty sweet guitar that he's got. Well, you should grab that guitar, Stan, and I'm going to show you guys some things that I do to kind of warm up. So whenever you play guitar, before you do anything, I don't know about you guys, but my hands always feel like very stiff and just not very nimble. They're not ready to play guitar. And so it's really helpful to have a routine. Now, just over the years, I've kind of learn some things. I've looked up YouTube videos, and this is just a collection of warm-ups that I like, and they work well for me. You can try some of these and see if they work for you, and you might try YouTube. Just look up guitar warm-ups, guitar exercises, and you might find some things that work well for you. But this is just a nice way to get some blood flow in your hands and just literally get them warmed up, get them nice and loose and nimble and ready to play. Especially some of you guys have commented that I can play some really stretchy chords, and those chords are very hard to play if I haven't warmed up my hands and kind of gotten them stretched out, ready to play those kinds of chords. So here we go. So I'm going to show you guys a few different things. The first thing is actually before you even play the guitar, just getting your hands warmed up to begin with. So a few things I like to do. I like to get the cracks out. Now I've already done this, but I'll kind of go through my knuckles. There was a little one there, and I'll just sort of push through, and I'll do each finger. So I'll kind of do one. There we go. Oh, that was a good one. I'll just go through and kind of crack my knuckles. There we go. I got a few of them. There we go. I get all, and then a nice little shake, kind of wiggle your fingers some. So that's really nice. I'll do the other hand as well. There we go. There we go. So getting rid of all that stiffness and just shaking it out. So that feels good. And sometimes I'll do some little finger rolls, just kind of pretending like you're rolling up a rug, with your fingers. So don't just clench your fist. Try to really roll it nice and tight like that, So I don't know if you guys can kind of see that, but doing a few of those, that can just be really good for just really loosening up your hands and just getting them ready. Again, shakes are really good. And then I'll grab them and I'll kind of get my wrists too. I'll just do, grip my hands together and do a little wrist roll like that, just kind of rolling one direction. And then I'll go the other way. And then sometimes I'll do them individually as well. So just kind of roll one way and then the other. There we go. And sometimes I'll even massage my hand if I feel like I need it. So I'll kind of go down each finger, just kind of pressing back and forth. And then I'll do the next one all the way down the tendons, down to the palm of the hand. I don't always do the massage step. I think it just depends. But it is a nice one to do. It does feel good to do that. And I'll usually do both hands. So yeah, you can try that. Give your hand a nice little massage, kind of get it nice and ready, nice and limbered up and ready to play. And now we're actually going to grab the guitar and do a few guitar warm-ups. So the first thing I like to do is just something very loose and just kind of, again, getting those fingers moving. So this does not sound very musical. It's very chromatic, meaning that we're hitting notes that are right next to each other. So I like to start on the 5th fret of the low string, and all I'm doing is just a hammer on. I'm just picking once and just doing all 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I do the next string and the next one all the way down to the high string. So it sounds like this. All right, once you get to the high string, then you go back. Now you're going to do pull-offs. So I pick up, and I keep my fingers there, and I pull off each one. Next one. So that would be. So ideally it should be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of that quad sound. So. So I'll usually do that 4 times up and down. And again, it's just a nice loose one, just to kind of get your fingers, get a feel for the fret. Good little warm up there. That's the one I like to start with. Silas was saying, I have a friend who also plays guitar, and we've jammed together. And his dad has a Gibson Les Paul and a red Schecter. Awesome. I wonder what kind of Schecter he has. Yeah, I love Schecters. I think they're great guitars, and obviously I have special sentimental reasons for liking them as well. But I just think they make beautiful guitars. And then yeah, Gibson are pretty tried and true. Gibson Les Pauls, good guitars as well. So that's the first one I do. Then the next one I like to do is this little coordination exercise. So we're still picking. I'm going to go to the 5th fret of the high string. Now I'm in a different tuning, by the way. I'm tuned in drop C. So if you go to your 5th fret, it might sound different than mine, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same exercise, whatever tuning you're doing in. So I'm going to pick it, and I'm going to do a hammer on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, just like that. So I only pick once, and then I press with my middle finger, and then I pull off, press, pull off, press, pull. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we do a triplet. 1 and... So let me see if I can even count this. Yeah, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Yeah, so it starts with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then it's going to go 1E and a 2E, or 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... So it's kind of a triplet feel. Triplet, 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 triplet. And then you double it up. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E. So it's faster like that. And we're going to do each combination. So if you wanted to do like a simpler version, you could just do that, and then you switch to your pointer and your ring finger. And then your pointer and your pinky. Okay, then the next combination, so we did every combination with the pointer. Pointer middle, pointer ring, pointer pinky. So we're done with the pointer. Now we're going to go to the middle. So we got middle ring and middle pinky. Okay, now we're done with the middle. So now we're going to do the ring finger, so all that's left is ring and pinky. That's probably the hardest one. So if you wanted to do like an easy version of that, I would say just go ring, pinky, now middle and ring, pinky, and now ring and pinky. That'd be a good way to start, and you can just try doing that faster. Just try to go as fast as you can. Gray says, as someone who doesn't know anything about guitar, this is really cool seeing. Well, I hope you enjoy it, If you have any questions, you might not know much about guitar, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. It can be anything guitar related. It can be about playing guitar, recording, creating certain sounds, whatever it might be, anything guitar related, that's all we're doing. We're just hanging out, talking about, guitar stuff. So if you have a favorite guitarist, let me know who your favorite guitarist is. So yeah, these warm-ups, they just kind of help. Now, that's probably an easier way to do it. The way I do it, again, I add those different rhythms. So I start slow, and then triplet, and then double it up, and then next one. Almost there. That's the hardest one right there. The ring. Oh, hey, we got Fab. Hey, Fab, it's been a little while. Appreciate you tuning in. We're just talking all about guitars, just hanging out. If you have any questions about guitar stuff, let me know. And Fab, I can't remember if you play guitar or not. If you do, you should grab your guitar. I'm just sharing some warm-up stuff right now. But if there's anything you want to learn, let me know. Just ask questions, ask away. And just let me know how you've been. It's good to see you. I don't know if you all knew this, but I think the ring finger is the weakest finger in the hand. A lot of times we think it's the pinky. The pinky's kind of weak as well, but that ring finger, that's really tough. And I've taught a lot of students, and it's really hard to develop that strength for that. So it's really important to do a lot of exercises where you are moving moving that ring finger, because the better you can strengthen up these two, it's going to make you a better player overall. It's really easy to want to focus on just your strong fingers, but if you focus on the strong fingers and you never focus on the weak ones, it's going to make you you're not going to be able to reach your full potential as a player. You're going to be limiting yourself. You really got to focus on those weak fingers and give them time to develop the strength and the dexterity they need in order to play. So, Silas was saying, hey, who or where did you get lessons from unless you learn differently? So for me, Fab plays acoustic. Well, you can still do these. I do these same. I'm just showing some warm-ups right now, so if you want to try them out, you can do these warm-ups for acoustic guitar as well. So you should grab your acoustic, and I'll show you some of the warm-ups that I like to do. Okay, so as far as learning guitar, so I first learned piano. My parents signed me up for lessons, but that was when I was about 8. And when they first signed me up, it was kind of just something that I did because they signed me up. It wasn't like, I didn't really have like a passion for music yet. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, I just kind of did it. But when I was 12, that's when I started getting into skateboarding, and that got me into rock music. And so that's when I really wanted to learn guitar. And my cousin showed me. I'll show you real quick. So I'm in standard tuning. That's all I was just doing there. Okay, so my cousin showed me a power chord, which looks like this. So here we go. Here's a little lesson for you. So the cool thing about the power chord is you just press on one fret. That's your root note. And then on the next string, you're going to go up 2 frets. So if I'm on the 5th fret here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's where my pointer finger is. Then on the next string, I'm going to put my ring finger on the 7th fret. And then my pinky right under that on the next string, also on the 7th fret. So 1, 2, 3. Now that's what my 5th fret sounds like. When I play that chord, if you're playing in regular tuning, it's probably going to sound like this. It's probably going to sound higher than mine. So what's cool about this shape, that's just one chord shape, but you can play it almost anywhere. Almost anywhere on the guitar. If you've ever seen other guitar shapes, all these other chords, which my guitar is not perfectly tuned right now, but all these other shapes, I remember trying to learn those, and they were so hard to remember. But this power chord, that's just one shape. And to be honest, when I first played it, I couldn't do the pinky very well, so I just did the first 2. I just did that. I used to play my power chords like that for like a year or two, something like that, And what happened was I would try playing these songs that I'd heard from the Tony Hawk video games. I would try playing them, but I would try playing them, and I would go to show my cousin. He was the one who showed me this power chord. I was like, hey, look, I'm playing AC/DC. And then he would tell me, that's not how it goes. You're playing it wrong. That's not how the song goes. And I was just playing from memory. And I remember at that age, like, I just wanted to play for fun. Like, I didn't want someone telling me I was doing it wrong, so I decided, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make up my own songs, so that way he can't tell me I'm playing it wrong. So basically, anytime I picked up a guitar, if I wanted to play guitar, I had to make something up. I had to... Like, I just made that up on the spot now, but I would try something like that. I would try different patterns, and that's kind of what got me into songwriting. So most of the guitar, I never took lessons for guitar. And the funny thing is, like, I could have asked my dad. He would have showed me some stuff. They would have signed me up for lessons. But for some reason, like, coming in a big family, for some reason I got this impression that we were all assigned certain instruments. And I felt like I was assigned to piano, and for some reason I wasn't allowed to learn guitar, even though that wasn't true at all. So I never asked, like, hey, can I get guitar lessons? It just never crossed my mind. And I think I was just content. Like, it's not like I wanted lessons. I had enough to play guitar, and that's all I needed. And so I just took what I knew and played it. Yeah, Silas says I never actually took lessons either. Yeah, there's a lot of people who they don't. Now, what I did, obviously everything I learned, like, that was showed to me. And over time, I would meet other guitarists. You know, I would learn things from my brothers. I had another cousin who played guitar, and I learned some things from him. Eventually, I learned about drop tuning, and I would learn songs from other guitarists and pick up other techniques. So over time, just meeting other guitarists, even my dad showed me some stuff. Eventually, I learned other things. So that's a good thing to do. It's good to play with other guitarists and just like teach each other stuff. Like, hey, how are you doing that? That's really cool. And you can learn something there. So yeah, that's kind of mostly self-taught. And then later, you know, when YouTube came along, I was able to look up lessons and learn certain songs. I also learned a lot of songs from Guitar Hero. Like I would go into the practice mode. Anyone remember the Guitar Hero video games? So Guitar Hero had a practice mode where you could slow down the songs and get the notes. So I would go to the practice mode and slow the song down, and I'd play the first few notes and then pause the game and then pick up my real guitar and try to find those notes and learn how to play it on real guitar. So I learned a few songs just from playing Guitar Hero. All right, Gray Knight was asking, how is it different to play electric versus acoustic in terms of hurting your fingers? To be honest, I think acoustic is harder to play than electric. Acoustic, the strings are thicker. They're a lot tougher. Like, man, if you play acoustic guitar and then you switch to electric, electric is so easy in comparison. It's like you barely have to press down, and it feels so good. So for your fretting hand, acoustic can hurt a lot more. It definitely takes a lot more strength to press down on the strings. But if you do that, your hands will get really strong, and then when you switch to electric, it's super easy. In fact, I tend to play electric more these days. So when I go back to acoustic, I'm like, man, I gotta work out again. I gotta get my hands conditioned, kind of get them back in shape for playing acoustic guitar. Now, there's pros and cons to that. You know, there's certain things. Acoustic, usually the strings are a little more spread out. They're a little thicker. So when you're doing like finger picking, a lot of times finger picking, that can be a little easier to do on acoustic guitar. It's a little easier to play finger style music on acoustic. But on electric, like it's really hard to play like super fast on an acoustic guitar. If you're trying to do, you know, really fast picky stuff, it's really hard to do that kind of picking on an acoustic guitar. You can. There's some guys who can pick really fast, but there's a lot of crossover. Most of it is honestly just style of music. Like obviously you get a different sound playing electric guitar versus playing acoustic. So like those power chords I showed you, you know, they sound so good with distortion. You can do them on acoustic and they sound fine, but acoustic definitely sounds good if you can play like some good open chords, which again sounds better when the guitar's in tune. We got Daniel in the chat. Hey Daniel, how's it going, man? Good evening. Stopping by for a moment at work. Well, I hope work goes well. And man, I was actually hoping you'd be able to hang out for a bit because we're talking all about guitars. I was wanting to hear, you know, all about what guitars you have, you know, what kind of picks you like to use, you know, your preferred string brand, you know, just everything guitar related, amps, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you're going to be able to be that thorough in the discussion, but definitely, you know, ask any questions if you're curious about anything. We're just talking about, I was just sharing the difference between electric and acoustic, but, you know, all things guitar. So it could be playing, recording, gear, anything. Just, you know, if you have questions or anything you want to know, let me know. Gray was saying, I remember taking a few lessons when I was little, but it never stuck. Well, if there's something in you, if you still want to learn guitar, it's never too late. You know, definitely, if you have a guitar, just pick it back up. YouTube is a great place for learning. Just look up beginner guitar lessons. Look up some of your favorite artists and see if there's lessons teaching how to play those songs. You know, it's never too late. So definitely. Now, as far as hurting your fingers, yeah, again, I would say acoustic is probably going to hurt them more, but you do get calluses on your fingertips. It's kind of funny. You guys obviously can't feel this, but my fingertips in my right hand are not as tough as my fingertips in my left hand, because my left hand I'm always pressing on the guitar strings, so they're kind of callous. They're a little tougher here, and they're softer on this side. But yeah, when you play guitar for a while, you'll go through phases where you'll like shred up your fingertips, and then they'll heal and they'll get stronger. But it's just, I don't know. It's just part of the journey. But eventually they get tough enough. I don't really hurt them that much anymore. Now, again, like I said, if I go back to playing acoustic, like little sneak peek, guys, I actually did some recording this week for some acoustic songs. So that's a little teaser for you. Something's coming with acoustic guitar. But after a long recording session, just playing the guitar over and over again, like my fingers were pretty sore afterwards. They're hardly ever sore after playing electric guitar, but acoustic, if I haven't played acoustic in a while, they'll be hurting a little bit. Let's see here. I'm seeing Fab was saying nylon string acoustic is hard to stay in tune. Yeah, I do think they get out of tune pretty easily. And a different style, you know. That's definitely, especially if you're going to do a lot of finger picking, nylon guitars are definitely something to consider. I like playing with a pick. I do some finger picking, but, you know, pick and rock is definitely my preferred. So I'm not like a huge nylon guitar fan, but I'm not opposed to it either. You know, it's not my favorite way to play guitar, but there's definitely some good music that can come from it, you know. Fab was saying, I took lessons until the F major chord. It broke me. Now it's no problem. Yeah, F major chord, which technically for me is right here, but that's the shape on a standard tuned guitar. And that's a tough one. So that shape I was talking about, power chords, what's nice about that, you're only playing 1, 2, 3 strings. But a bar chord is that same shape, but you're using this finger and you're pressing on all the strings. And you can add your middle finger to make a major chord shape, or you can lift that middle finger and create a minor chord shape. But on acoustic guitar, trying to get all those strings to come through cleanly takes a lot of grip strength. It's really hard to do. So yeah, that F sharp, that is a tough chord to play on acoustic. Even for me, usually when I play acoustic guitar, I'm going to switch to a clean tone. If there's ever an F chord, an F major chord, usually I prefer to play it like this. I'll do like an F7. Sometimes I'll do that, but that's my preferred way to play the chord. It's kind of similar to a C chord, but you add your pinky underneath, you move your middle finger down one string, and have an F7 chord. It's a little bit easier to play, and it has that nice open sound. Like I like, when I'm playing acoustic guitar, I really like open strings. I like to play chords with a lot of open strings, as opposed to like power chords where they're closed. It just sounds a little more contained, a little more muted. I like it to ring out. I like those open strings, you know. So when you're playing an F major chord, like even if I can play it, which usually I can, I just don't like that sound as much as the F7 chord. I like how that one kind of rings out more. It's got more resonance to it. So it's not that one is better than the other. It's just, it's a matter of situation, you know. But that's sort of two different ways to play a similar chord. They're technically not the same exact chord, but they're both F major chords. That's the main thing. Oh, let's see here. Silas was saying, my dad showed me some stuff, and I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials and some other stuff. That's a great way to learn. Learn from someone who already knows, like your dad, someone who can give you some hands-on experience. And then YouTube, great resource. You can learn anything on YouTube. That's why I love it. So, yep. We were talking about picks earlier. Fab was saying Dunlop picks. That's what I use. So, a lot of guitarists I like, they recommend the Dunlop Jazz 3 pick. Now, I think they meant the XL. There is the actual Jazz 3 is much smaller. I use the Jazz 3 XL, which is a larger pick. That one's a little easier to grip. Gives you a little more headspace when you're picking. So that's what I like to use. But I actually play. Some of you might know this. I have my own custom pick. It's got a logo on it. Eventually, I'll make these available. I'm not really sure how to sell physical merch yet. Some of you, I was able to send this as a little gift to you guys, and I've even made necklaces out of them. But I have a bunch of these. It's got my logo on it. But this is modeled after the Jazz 3 shape. So you can see it's a very similar shape. It's thick, just like the Jazz 3 pick. So that's what I like to play. What about you, Daniel? If you have time to answer, what is your pick preference? Gray Knight says, I'd like to try electric. Well, you definitely should. You know, if you have an electric, or if there's someone you know who's got one you could borrow or buy off of them for an affordable price, you could do some thrift store, shopping in some local shops, Craigslist. You might be able to find something pretty affordable. But yeah, electric, if that's, especially if you're into like rock music and, or just styles of music that tend to use electric guitar, then I think you're good to start with that, So, I think you should do it, man. Go for it. Silas says, do y'all remember the first live stream I watched? I talked a lot to you guys on the lead guitarist bracket. Yeah, I think we did converse about that. I can't remember all the details of it, but I do know we had a bracket several streams ago, a long time ago, and I think we were discussing, who is the best lead guitarist. Daniel says, I have 6 guitars currently. That's more than me. I think I've only got 1 guitar. And a ukulele. I think that's all I own. And I hardly ever use the ukulele. I practically donated it to the church. Daniel says, I've got a bass. I do have a bass, but I have 6 guitars. The Jackson X Series RR24. I'm going to look these up in just a moment. Jackson Pro Series, Jackson King V, Washburn Leon LPT 80 Carina, Washburn S-Body, and a PV acoustic. Yeah, those are some good. Jackson makes some really good guitars. In fact, I've played a few at a Guitar Center. If I ever do expand my collection, I will probably... actually, one guitar I'm interested in, I'll talk about that in a moment, is a Jackson guitar. I'll get to that in just a second here. Stan was saying, when I play my electric after acoustic, I end up doing more... string bends than I plan to. Yeah, the strings can bend a lot easier on electric than they do acoustic. So if you've been playing acoustic and then you go right to electric, it's going to feel like it's going to take a lot less strength than what you needed for acoustic. Daniel was saying, I just changed my strings for like the first time in 15 years from 8s to 9s. Oh, interesting. So going a little thicker. Now, Daniel, I think, do you only play in standard? Do you ever play any other, do you play in standard D or drop C tuning? Or do you just play standard E primarily? Because I play in drop C, standard D tuning sometimes. And so for me, I play 12 to 54s. So I play pretty thick strings. But again, that's because I tune down lower. So tension-wise, that might be similar to like maybe a 10 or something, like 10 to 48s or something like that. But again, I use a heavier gauge because I tune down higher. Or I tune lower is what I meant. Sorry. Let's see here. Yep, Silas, been posting a few videos, Daniel's saying, for interface, I use the Zoom H8 picks. Dunlop 50s, interesting. Pretty thin, okay. And, of course, my Headrush Prime pedal board. So Daniel prefers to play with a thin pick. I know some guitarists do. A lot of the guitarists I like, most of them use thicker picks, so I'm like, I'll use a thick pick too, That's pretty much why. And I tend to like it, I definitely like, I like to pick hard, so I definitely like having a heavier pick. Mine is like a 1.38 millimeter thickness. So I'm guessing 50s, you must mean .50s, 50 millimeter. So that is a very thin pick. Let's see here. Daniel was saying the Headrush Prime is an amazing piece of gear and simulates amps, cabs, mics, pedals, including effects and the delay, reverb, chorus, distortion, you name it. Yeah, that's a cool piece of gear to have. That's kind of what I have, but rather than having one piece of gear that has that, I'm using a DAW. I'm getting all those sounds from my laptop. But same thing, I'm able to have amp simulators, amp cabs, mic placement. I can add effects and that kind of thing. But obviously mine isn't as practical as like, going somewhere. I can take mine on the go, and I do. I even played a live show with my laptop. But it is nice. Obviously the laptop is a little more fragile, so it is nice to have like a piece of hardware, like actual gear, like the Headrush Prime. That'd be very good for that situation. Daniel says, I've tried Jazz 3s, but can't do it. I have a strange picking technique, and it just doesn't work for me. And that's the thing. Everyone has unique styles. What's interesting is, Daniel, I would think you probably hold your pick properly. I'm guessing you use it. Again, I never had proper lessons. So I always, the way I hold my pick, I just put my thumb over it like that, and I take my 2 fingers and kind of put them at the points there, and I grip it like that. That's how I grabbed it, and that's just how I played. And I've been able to get pretty far. I know the proper way, you're actually supposed to kind of tuck your pointer finger under like that, and most good guitarists play like that. I technically can play like that. I was working on it for a while. Good gosh, I haven't done it in a while, though. It feels weird. Yeah, if I did like rhythm stuff, I can play like that, but the picking, the reason I started working on it just to see if I could pick faster, but I kind of think it's too late for me, and I'm also not that worried about it. I'm like, you know what? I can play fast enough the way I am. I'm not going to, for me, it wasn't worth starting all the way over, so I just kind of accept it. But yeah, depending on the way you pick, there might be a difference. But the way I pick, you definitely get some nice firmness, and it's really good for, whoop, that's not the right chord, but trying to really dig in. I like a nice thick pick for that kind of stuff. Stan, I don't know if that's your goodbye, saying love y'all, gotta eat some teriyaki chicken. I don't know if you can eat and listen at the same time, or if you're heading out, but teriyaki chicken sounds really good right now. You're making me hungry with that. Daniel says, I usually only play standard E or a half step down. Okay, cool. Yep. I actually played standard E and drop D for a long time, and it was a few years ago. I can't remember what year, but maybe around like 2017, 2018 or something. Again, for a long time, I played standard E and drop D tuning, but a lot of the bands I listened to played in drop C. Some of them played in drop B. Some of them played in standard B and standard C sharp. There were all kinds of bands I listened to that played in different tunings. And so when I got my own guitar, eventually I started wondering, like, should I consider changing my tuning? And I had written a few songs, and I tried singing them, and most of them were easier to sing tuned down in drop C. Like, it helped for my vocal range. So I tend to play in the heavier range, not because because it works better for me. If I had multiple guitars, in fact, one day in the future, I'll probably have other guitars, and I'll have some guitars for specific tunings. So I'll probably get a guitar in the future at some point for standard tuning. But for me, most of the stuff I do, the drop C tuning just works for the majority of stuff I play. And I like it because it's low enough to be a little heavier, heavier sounding, but it's not so low that it's like super flubby sounding. You can still get a nice, tight, chunky, like punchy sound out of it. Yeah, everyone wishing Stan a good dinner. Yeah, sounds good to me. Silas was saying some of my picks people call brain picks. I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke or if there's a reason they call them brain picks, if there's some reason for that. Daniel says, I do not hold my pick properly, LOL. Basically, I kind of hold it between my thumb and my middle finger. I use my forefinger to silence others. Interesting. Okay, so you're mainly gripping it like that, like kind of those two, and then using that pointer. But, there's other guitarists out there who kind of hold it different ways, and I'm pretty sure there's some really good guitarists who have odd methods of holding it. But, usually the proper way is that one method. But again, I don't use it that way either. And Daniel, you're a very good guitarist, and sounds like you don't use the proper picking technique either. So there we go. There's our testimony. Daniel says, you can kind of see what I mean on my Metallica Sanitarium cover. I think there's some close-ups, or maybe my Ride the Lightning improv video. There's some close-ups of how I hold my pick. Yeah, I'll have to investigate that. Check that out. Silas says, there's a reason they call them that. Okay, interesting. You might have to explain what that reason is. Okay, real quick, I think we're going to look at, I'm going to check out some of your guitars, Daniel. You were mentioning some Jacksons, so let me bring up something here. Here we go. I'm going to bring up this window. Whoops, I didn't mean to bring that up. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Bring me back up. We're going to look up some of those guitar models. Give me just a second here. I got to remember what they were. So Daniel was saying the Jackson X Series RR24. So 24 for 24 frets. Jackson X Series RR24. Let's have a look at this. Few different colors here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I think yours is black, if I remember. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong about that. But from your videos, does yours have, can you see that one right there with the yellow stripes? That's not yours. You don't have the yellow, do you? I think yours is just black. There's also one with white, it looks like. So I see, yeah, sorry, it's been a little laggy on my end. There's that one there. I don't know if yours is just the all black, like this one here. Or if it's got like the white trim on it, like that one there. Can you guys even, yeah. So, but very cool guitar. Let's see what else we got here. We got the Jackson Pro Series. Let's see what that one looks like. Boop, boop. Pro Series. Oh, I like that one. What color is that one? Your Jackson Pro Series, or are these? Is it a? I don't know if there's different ones. There's another V-neck here. I like that shape right there that we're seeing on the top here. That's a really pretty guitar right there. I love that color. Look at that. Again, it's kind of similar to mine. It's got that kind of liquidy effect to it. I love guitars like that, and I like that shape. The original guitar I wanted was kind of similar to that, but blue. I really like this one, this blue one right here. Like that. That's a really nice guitar. What I wanted originally was a Schecter, kind of the same blue, but not the whitish part in the middle. But that white looks really nice too. Those are some pretty. And I always thought green guitars looked really cool. There's a green one right here. Let's see here. RR, Randy Rhoads, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, loving my X Series RR24 and the Pro Series. Did you used to have a Les Paul? I don't know if Daniel did. I've never had a Les Paul. Again, this is my first guitar and the only guitar I've ever owned. So, yep, I've never had a Les Paul. Correct, the black and yellow. Okay. It's a V body, that's right. Yeah. It's kind of an off-white. Okay. It's very similar to the Randy Rhoads white V. Gotcha. Very cool. Yeah, I think Jacksons make great guitars. I'm actually going to show one to you guys. This guy right here. So this is Misha Mansour from the band Periphery. This is his signature guitar, the Jackson Pro Series ET, or ET6. And my main interest in this guitar, he's actually got a blue one. I don't know if y'all can see that blue one right there. That one's pretty cool. I think I like the blue. The white's not too bad either. But my interest in this guitar, the ET stands for Evertune. And so I'm interested in this for a studio guitar. So it's got an Evertune bridge. And an Evertune bridge, like I don't know how it works. Even him, he describes it as just magic. But it's this crazy bridge that when you get your strings set up, it never goes out of tune. So the strings, like you can bend them as much as you want and they'll always return to the correct tuning, which just sounds like a dream for studio recording. Because if you've ever recorded in the studio, like tuning is the biggest pain in the butt. So Evertune bridges sound super handy for a studio situation. Now, I do think there are some downsides. I have a feeling changing strings might be a little inconvenient. I'm not really sure. I'd have to do a little more research. There's definitely like some downsides, but I think the upsides, again, it's kind of a situational thing. So I think for the studio, that'd be a really good guitar to have for the studio. The other guitar I'm interested in, I'm a big fan of Nolly Gitgood, and he's got a signature guitar. Nolly Gitgood, also, he used to be the bassist for Periphery, but now he still engineers for them. He still produces a lot of their music, but he's no longer the bassist for their band. But he still collaborates with them a lot. But he's like my favorite music producer. He just gets such great sounds in everything he does. Great drum sounds, bass sounds, guitar sounds, like you name it. Like he's the one I look to when it comes to like production sound. And this is his signature guitar. I'm actually going to bring up a video in a moment. But it looks cool, but it also sounds great. Let me see if I can get this to where you guys can hear it. 1 second here. I'm going to bring up a video of him playing this thing. And the tones he gets out of it sound really good. Now, you'll have to let me know if when I play the video if you can hear it, because I haven't done a sound check. But here is a video of him playing his guitar. It's the Manson Oryx is what it's called. Ads playing. This stream is not sponsored by DistroKid, but I do use DistroKid. So if they ever wanted to sponsor me, I already used their service, so I'd be down for that. Gray says, you should play the Power Rangers theme. Let me give that a shot. All right. I'll try that in just a moment here. Can you guys hear this? It's buffering on my end. Sorry, being a little laggy. Start it over. But yeah, let me know if you guys can hear that. Give me like a thumbs up or just say, yep, we can hear it. Like, that sounds so good. I love how clear it is. It's nice and punchy. And he's playing like some pretty elaborate chords there, you know? Don't think you can hear it. Okay. Let me think why that would be the case. Man, that stinks if you guys can't hear. Man, I might not have set this up properly. Give me just a second, see if I can figure this out. Oh, it might be this one. Let's see if this does it. I don't think that's working either. What about that wasn't it. Darn it. It's been a while since I've set that up. It's been a while since I've had to, like, done a stream where we were able to watch something. That's too bad. You guys have to check out that video because that guitar sounds great. And he gets some awesome tones out of that. On the spot right now, I could probably figure it out, but right now I just, yeah, I'm not sure. Can't hear. Yep. Darn it. Yep. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that's a really great sounding guitar, so you guys might have to check that one out. Let me see if I can play this Power Ranger themes for Grey Knight. Give me just a second here. Let's see. Go Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. There we go. I feel like there's a little riff there, like a... I don't know. That's a cool one. I remember there was a drummer who did a metal cover to that, and that song sounds so cool. When you add double bass to it, like, go Power Ranger, and you get that double bass in there, it's like super intense. You'll have to look up Power Rangers metal cover or something like that, or drum cover or something. And yeah, that song sounds great when you add some double bass to it. That's a great theme song. Power Rangers was awesome. I grew up with Power Rangers. They were awesome, so... but yeah, anyway, Daniel, I might join the Jackson Club sometime in the future. You know, I don't really have a need for another guitar right now, but eventually. Probably the next thing I would get, like gear-wise. So this is kind of interesting, but the way I get my guitar sounds, so, you know, back in the day, you would buy a physical piece of gear. You know, you would buy an actual guitar amp and an actual speaker, like an actual cab. You would plug your guitar into the amp would go through the cab, the speaker, and the sound would come out of there. And if you wanted to record with that, you would have to get a microphone, mic the speaker, and that's how you get your guitar tone. But technology has come a long way. Yeah, Daniel saying, that'd be awesome. Join Jackson, Quincy. It's like, I intend to. It might be a while, yeah, it might be a while, but I would like to at some point. Daniel says, I have a question. In a live setting, if you were to switch from distortion to acoustic, how would you be able to do that if you were playing with some other musicians? Let me think. I would think it would depend. Oh, hey, we got Abe. Hey, yep. Quincy, I'm late. No worries, Abe. Better late than never. We're just talking. Daniel was asking a question about in a live setting, if I were to switch from distortion to acoustic, how would I go about doing it? I know there are like acoustic simulators, but I think it depends on the song. To be honest, for me, I think I would just have another channel set up with the acoustic, and whatever song was acoustic, I would, I would just switch to the acoustic guitar for that song, and then and then switch back to the electric. Now, acoustic's kind of interesting in a live setting because acoustics sound so much better mic'd than going direct. Now, I do think there are some, I can't remember. I was actually talking to a guy at Sweetwater, which shout out to Sweetwater, by the way. If you're ever getting like guitar gear, music gear, Sweetwater is definitely the place to do it. They have great customer service. That's what makes them better than everyone else. But he was telling me something. There's some piece of guitar gear that I think like recreates, I can't remember how it works. I don't even remember what it is. I think you have to like drill it in. You do have to like install it into your acoustic guitar. But it's something that helps like preserve that acoustic sound, like if you were miking it, but you're still able to go direct. So I can't remember what it was, but it was something pretty great like that. Either that or it was some kind of special mic for that kind of scenario. And yeah, Daniel backing me up. Yep, Sweetwater is awesome. I shop there all the time. Yeah, anytime I buy gear, I try to get it from Sweetwater. Are you talking about a piezo pickup? It might be that. It was a while back since I heard about it because, again, my brother has a Martin acoustic guitar and no electronics in it at all. And he was going to play, he does play with our praise band, and we were trying to figure out some way, like the best way for him to play with us. And the guy at Sweetwater had made a suggestion, and I looked it up, and whatever it was, it sounded great, but I think it was just either too pricey or my brother wasn't comfortable with having something like that installed on his guitar, so we ended up we just mic him now, but I do know there's some acoustic simulators. I'd have to learn more about that. I know right now the only song I have that includes both acoustic and electric guitar is my song Love's Not Fair. And for that, I just play with a clean tone. The backing track has the acoustic guitar, and I play the clean tone, which that might be the thing too. You know, in my current setup, if there was a song that had like some acoustic parts, I might just play with a backing track and let the backing track do the acoustic parts, and I would just stick with the electric guitar, either play clean and then switch to distortion. There's definitely more than one way you could go about doing that. Now, I don't know if you have sort of a way in mind, if that's something you're trying to figure out, like how you would do it, or if you were just curious how I would do it. If there's another way you would think of approaching that, you can certainly let me know what you had in mind. So anyway, Abe, we were talking about, mic versus amp. Well, that's kind of an interesting comparison there, because you would need I don't know if you're saying like which is more important for the sound you get. I know both are very important. And that's the crazy thing about guitar. When you start really digging into like what goes into guitar tone, there's a lot of things. When I first got into guitar, I always thought a guitar amp was a combo amp. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, basically, I had the electric guitar and I would plug it into this box. It's just this big box. And the box had all these knobs on the top where you could adjust the volume and you could choose how much distortion, and, you could boost like the high frequencies or the low frequencies, or you could turn them down. You could add sound effects. And then there was a speaker in the bottom of the box. And I thought that's what an amp was. I didn't realize that that's actually a combo amp, which means it has an amp, but it also has a speaker, and it combines the two into one unit, one box that plays in both. But what is more commonly used in situations, usually the amp it's an amplifier. It's its own unit. And you can plug into it, but you don't actually get any sound until you plug it into a separate unit, which is a speaker, or a cabinet, which includes the speaker. And so that right there, you've already got 4 different sounds. You've got the sound of your guitar, which comes primarily from the pickups. You've got the sound of the amp, depending what amplifier you're using. You've got the sound of the speakers that it's going through. And then you've got the sound of the cabinet that the speaker is built into. So just by changing any of those variables, you can drastically change the sound of your tone. It's a lot to keep up with. Now, when I first started recording, on top of that, then you have to mic it. If you're recording, you got to get a microphone to mic that. So when I first started recording, that's what I used to do. I used to use just my brother-in-law's stuff. I would use whatever guitar amp I had available, whatever cab I had available. We mostly had combo stuff. We didn't have individual units. And I think it was just a good old SM57 was the microphone. Just and I didn't know where to put it. I just pointed it at the cabinet, and I recorded that way for a long time. And I also assumed that was the better way to record, but eventually I learned that the software that I use on my computer, I use Logic Pro. That's the workstation I use for producing audio. I realized it had amp simulators on it. Like you could plug your guitar into your interface. Which I showed that earlier. I have an interface over here off screen. That's what my guitar is plugging into, and then that plugs into the computer. And so my guitar can go through the computer, and then the computer has a virtual amp and a virtual cabinet. And so you're able to recreate your guitar sound in the computer. So that's definitely more convenient, but the downside was it didn't sound as good, or at least at first I thought it didn't sound as good. The tones I was getting, they were very scratchy. Like it worked. It was very convenient when you just wanted to like record demos and ideas, but it definitely did not sound as good as a real amp. And I'm going to continue in just a moment. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay, yeah, I'm going to catch up with you guys in a moment. So it definitely didn't sound as good, but over the year, as I learned more about it, I'm definitely... Like, don't get me wrong, like, real gear still sounds great, still good, but for the sake of convenience, like, amp sims have come such a long way. Just for my current situation, I'm definitely on board with, like, amp sims and stuff. Like, that stuff's so great. And you still have to take those things into account, like what amp sim you're using, what cab sim you're using, and what mic sim you're using. All that stuff still matters. But, yeah, we'll get into that in just a moment here. Daniel saying, just curious how you would do it since you use a DAW. With me, the Headrush Prime can do that by either bringing down distortion from the pedal or switching to an acoustic rig on the board. Yeah, I figured you might have been alluding to something like that. I know there's sort of acoustic simulators where you can make your electric sound like an acoustic. And I'd have to experiment more with that. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to doing something like that. So I would maybe have a rig like that. I haven't tried anything like that. I haven't had a need to try anything like that yet. But like I said, yeah, depending on the song, I would probably let the acoustic come from either the backing track, or I would switch to an acoustic guitar, or I would just play clean tone for the live version, and then the studio version I would record. Now, I will say in the studio, my dad's got a Taylor and my brother's got a Martin, so those are both great sounding acoustic guitars. So right now I use those, I mic them up, and they sound great. Let's see here. Abe was saying, I used to have a head and cab. I have a combo amp now, but I never even use it. I'm all digital for simplicity's sake. Yeah, I think digital has come a long way. You get a lot of great sounds from digital stuff these days. I used to be this, like, I don't even own an amp anymore. Like I don't own a combo amp. I used to have a combo amp, and it was basically just a table in my room, like a little table in my room. I would just set stuff, like I never used it anymore. And so I ended up selling it on Craigslist. Jack, thanks for hanging out. Jack says, I've got to head out now, but thanks for the great stream, Quincy. It was very interesting and fun. Have a great night. Yeah, you too, Jack. Always appreciate you hanging out. Hope you have a good rest of your night. And Daniel has to head out too. Wish I could stick around, but I have to head back to work. Well, I appreciate you hanging out a little bit. I hope the rest of work goes well. And we'll do this again sometime. We'll do another guitar special segment, and hopefully you'll be able to hang out longer and be able to talk guitar and stuff. Abe says, I like versatility. I have infinite amps and pedals. Yes, that's the case too. When you're using amp sims, you have a lot more at your disposal. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Let me bring up a screen here. Not that one. This one. Oh, you know what? I don't... actually, I don't think I have... Okay, so I don't have a screen for my... I can make it real quick. 1 second. Yeah, that'll work. I'm going to bring up my DAW. Let me find it real quick. Here we go. So you guys should be able to see this. It's going to be blocking me for a moment. Let me just get it in place. So this is my DAW. This is what I'm going into right now. I'm going to make it a little bigger so it fills the full screen. Come on. There we go. All right, so that's what you can even see like the at the bottom corner there. Hey, when I talk, you can see the levels jumping up and down. And I'm going to bring me back into the screen. There we go. There I am right there. And let me bring this down a little lower. Okay. So, yeah, basically my guitar setup, I'm going into this top track here that I've just highlighted. That's my guitar track. And if I bring up the mixer, there we go. Again, this highlighted track here, this first one, all these little blue boxes, these are all the different tools that I use to get my guitar sound. So I tried out a lot of different things. I used to use the stock amp sims that came with Logic Pro, but I found that there's some great ones that you can download. And there was a lot of research that went into it, but basically the biggest impact on your sound is probably going to come from your cab. So what I use is this thing here. I'm going to bring it up so you guys can see it. Now, why is that? Okay, I got to bring this down lower. There we go. All right. So it's kind of confusing, but the way this works, and Abe, you might already be familiar with this, so I don't know how they did this, but somehow what they're able to do, this box you see here, this is a what is it called? It's an impulse response loader. Now, what the heck is that? So an impulse response, somehow people were able to record the sound of a cab, and then they can recreate that cab. They can load the sound into these boxes. So all these different letterings here, these are different settings that you can feature, or you can select. And what this does is basically somebody recorded a real cab, and I can select that sound and make it sound like I'm going through that cabinet myself. So through my research, I found out that the Marshall 1960A, that's the name of the cab. That's a very good sounding cab. And I think the vintage 30s are the way to go. But I think I've got greenback 12s on here. I think that's what that stands for, the G12 MS. So there's different speakers that can go in those cabs, but this was one that I was able to find for free online, and I downloaded it. And then you can choose different mics. I went with the U87. I can't remember why. I picked that a long time ago. And then you could choose different positions. So I have mine set on the cap edge at 0.5 inches away. So when I play it, it sounds like this. That's how I get my... But I can change it. If I were to go like 6 inches, it's like a little softer sounding. If I were to go right on the cap, actually, I'll be honest, it's not changing very drastically. It might not be. Maybe it's not loading. Okay, it's not changing. Yeah, let me. Here we go. Now it might change. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was like, that's actually not changing. That's 6 inches away. Super different sound. So this is like me moving the mic around. Here's 3 inches away from the cap. Here's 2 inches away. 1 inch away. 12 inches away. You just get a drastically different sound depending where you go. Let me go back to where I like it. So I like it on the cap edge at 0.5 inches. They're just nice and punchy, nice and clear. Not too scratchy, not too muddy. So the cab and the mic placement, that's super important. But again, in real life, you'd have to take an actual mic and set it up to do all that. So it's so nice being able to do that just with an amp sim, just doing it digitally. Yeah, impulse response loader, IR loader. IR stands for impulse response. Yeah, Abe says I use a ton of free stuff. There's a lot of great free stuff out there. Right now, everything I'm using is free. Eventually, I intend to upgrade, but we'll see. Abe was saying, you send a sound through a cab like a weird hiss or beep, and it gets interpreted digitally to mimic the same signal. Yes, I knew it was something like that, some kind of weird like beep, and I think it matches the EQ curve is kind of what it's doing, something like that. I have a few go-to presets, but for the most part, I like to play around with a new sound every time I'm making something up. And it's kind of funny, you know, people have it sounds like you like to experiment, like come up with different sounds. Me, I'm more like, I like to find one sound that I like and then just kind of refine it. And then once I got something that works, I'm like, that's good for me, you know. So this has kind of been my go-to guitar tone for a while. And even this isn't like the best representation of it because I'm not running it through quite so many plugins. This is my live tone. So I've just got like the most important parts, but when I do an actual recording, one, I have new strings, and two, I've got a few more plugins that I add that kind of change things. But that impulse response I was able to find, that one sounds really good. The amp I like to use, this was the hardest thing to find, was like a good amp sim, especially for free. You'll have to let me know, what do you use? Do you use a downloaded amp sim, or do you, is it, again, it sounds like you use a lot of free stuff. I don't know if you purchased something. But for me, I'm using this one. This is the Legion from, I think it's like Lepou. I think that's the name of the brand that makes this. This is, to me, this is the best sounding amp sim that I found for the sound that I want, for like good metal distortion. The second one, I would say, there's one, there's another guitar called Emissary. I think it's by Ignite Amps, called the Emissary. That's a really good one also. I use that one for my lead tones when I'm doing like guitar solos or lead parts, layers. I'll use that one for the lead, but that one, that's the second best one. But as far as like my rhythm tone, this is the one I have the most experience with. So again, if I turn this off, you're just going to get just the DI going through the cab sim. And then when I turn it on, like, just sounds really good. A lot of other amp sims can sound too scratchy. That's the biggest problem I ran into. This is the only one that like still has some nice clarity and punch and has good distortion, but isn't too scratchy. And with each project, I just kind of like, I kind of try to refine it a little bit. Like sometimes I'll run into problems. Like I might even have to update this again. I know I like these settings. So from left to right, I like the green channel. I set it to, there's rhythm and lead. I like to send it to lead, or set it to lead. And then there's this tone stack here. I just turn it down to the bottom knob. The drive, on this I have it at 12 o'clock, but I think the last song I did, my song Waiting, I think I actually dialed that back a little bit. I think I turned the drive down a little bit. I try to turn it, I like good distortion, but I want clarity also. So I try to find that sweet spot where it's still nice and aggressive, nice and punchy, but you can still hear the notes clearly. One thing I learned about amp sims is don't use your eyes, use your ears. Because some amp sims don't have a whole lot of low end. So you can see the low end here. I've actually got it boosted like almost all the way. But some amps already have a lot of low end, so you might have to turn it like way down. So it just depends on the amp. The mids I have about 12 o'clock. The highs I have about 12 o'clock. And then the contour about 12:30, 1:30, something like that. The presence, I've got that set about 2:30, somewhere around there. And again, these are just some adjustments that I kind of made over time. Like, I'll just adjust them a little bit with each project just to kind of really dial in like the ideal sound that I want to get. Abe was saying, I use a ton of stock stuff loaded into GarageBand. Yep. Have the Ignite Emissary. Yep, it's cool. I also play with the tone bridge looking for preset tones. Yeah, the Emissary, I haven't used it a whole lot, but I was using, what was it? I can't remember the name. Oh, it was the Ninja. I don't know if you've heard of that. There's an amp sim called the Ninja, and I was using that for my lead tones, but it was just a little too scratchy sounding for me, or something about it. It kind of had like that nasally sound to it, and I used it for a few projects, but I just wasn't too pleased with it. And so I ended up trying the Emissary, and I really like the lead tones that I got on Waiting, and I used the Emissary for that. So if you listen to the guitar solo in Waiting, yeah, the lead guitar just came out really good. I can actually give you a little snippet of it. I don't have the solo on here, but I have the backing track. Let me see. Here's Waiting. And yeah, if you hear like the lead guitar. Second. The lead comes in right here. Yeah, that lead tone that you're hearing, that's from the Emissary. And then you'll hear it in the chorus. So that really high part, that, let's see. Yeah, that's coming from the Emissary. Yeah, and Abe says, yep, that Emissary gets nice lead tones. It's my go-to for leads as well. Yeah, I haven't messed with it too. I'm sure I've like sort of dabbled with it for rhythm tones, and it's probably not too bad, but lead, it works great. And I'm just running it through the same cab that I use for my rhythm tones. Abe says, I have some Blue Cat audio stuff. Interesting. I don't think I've heard of Blue Cat. Mostly good for clean sounds. The distorted is cheap and not punchy enough. I might have to check that out for some clean stuff. I'm actually, I'm probably going to have to experiment with some clean tones pretty soon for some upcoming projects. So, you know, maybe I'll look into that if I can't deal with what I've got. Let's see what else we got here. So what I like to use... There's a few things I got, like, I'm not going to go through, like, too much of the technical. I'm just going to go with the fun stuff. I do have, like, some EQ and, like, a noise gate and all that stuff, but as far as plugins go, I don't know if you've tried this guy out, the TSE 808. So it's very common for real guitars. They'll use an amp, but then they'll put this drive before it. I think this is based off of the, man, what's it called? It looks just like it. It's a green pedal, just like that. And it's a drive pedal, and it just kind of tightens up the palm mutes. And I think this is based off of that. But this is a free plugin, and this thing makes a big difference on the palm mutes. So if I turn it off, here's the palm mutes. It's kind of flubby, kind of soft. Kind of muffled. You turn this guy on. So much tighter, so much punchier. It's got more of that vicious, like, I don't know, like aggressiveness to it. That's more like fuzzy, kind of warm sounding. You know, I don't really... This one's got more bite to it. And I just turned the tone all the way up on that. So drive all the way down, tone all the way up, volume at 12 o'clock. I think that's all there is to that. And that's a cool little feature there. Again, I do that first, and then I go into the Legion. Yeah, Tube Screamer, that's one. That's not the one I'm thinking of, but you're right. People do that too, the Ibanez Tube Screamer. I guess it's modeled after that. It might be. I still feel like there's something else. I know the Ibanez Tube Screamer. That's one too, but I feel like it's something else. But 9 Hertz, appreciate you tuning in. You'll have to let me know what kind of guitar do you play, and do you use amp sims much? Do you have much experience with that? And if you have any questions, you let me know. Do I have a favorite song to play? That's hard to pick. Man, I don't know. There's so many songs I love. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I could pick a favorite song to play. I do have some like go-tos. It'd probably be easier for me to answer that question for like piano. For guitar, there's so many that I like to play. Man, even being on the spot, I can't really think of a good answer. I gotta be honest, that's a tough question. One of my favorites, I like playing a lot of Silosis stuff, so I'll do this riff from, what's it called? Build a Tomb, I think is what it's called. It's from Silosis. So that one's fun to play. I like this riff from Between the Buried and Me. you know. So I don't know. That's a tough question to answer, man. If you have, I think you're still wanting to learn guitar, but yeah, picking a favorite song, that's tough. The GarageBand amps are also really good for cleans. Yeah, I kind of noticed that. So I've got the old version of Logic Pro, and so I think the new version probably has some new amps and stuff, and I think they still have the old ones as well. But I've noticed that. I've noticed you can get some pretty good clean sounds. So right now I just haven't had a project that's required me to do a whole lot of clean stuff. That's something like that's still, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but there's still a lot more for me to explore there. So I definitely don't have like a set method for getting clean tones yet. But I've been working on I've been refining my metal tone for years now. So been kind of working with what I got and just trying to craft it and get the best sound I can. Play the sweep section from BT Bam Selkies. I don't know how to play Selkies. I don't even know if I remember any other Between the Buried and Me songs. I'd learned a few. I can remember Prequel to the Sequel, and I know it's got this one. It's not sweeping, but let's see. I can't remember how it goes. It's like the do 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 do. I can do the sweep from. I don't know if you've heard the song. Oh my gosh, what's it called? It's another Silosis song, but it's got this awesome sweeping part. It was probably the first sweeping thing I learned, but. Let's see if I can get that. I haven't played it in a while. That's from the song Imperial. Yep. Abe says, can't do sweeps. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me yet. Hey, you just got to keep working. To be honest, one of my favorite things, I'll give you a little lesson here. It's kind of funny, but I've got a song called Brothers to the End, and there's a solo in it with this sweep picking part. And to be honest, that was one of the first patterns that I practiced sweeping. I would just go back and forth. Yep. So it's just like a major 7 shape. So I like to play it, here's the 12th fret, 11th, I play it on the 11th fret, and then you just go down like a stair set, 11, 12, 13, 14. And you're just sweeping up, so up, 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 and then you add your ring to the 13 on the same string, that string right there, bum, bum, half step down, and this is where you're gonna pick down, and then you hammer on, and then down, down, down. So up, 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 down, hammer on, down, down, up, and actually when you hit that one, you can hit down again, down, and then you go back up, because the whole point of sweeping, of course, is being economic. So whichever direction you're moving, that's the way you pick. So when you go down, you pick down. When you go up, you pick up. So. And you could even take out that little hammer-on part. You could just go. That might even be a better way to start if you're trying to learn. So, and whoops. Just a simple 4 pattern like that. But you definitely have to start kind of slow, and that speed will come in time, but you got to get the technique first. If you just try going too fast too soon, it gets really messy real quick. So, but it's a fun technique. I like to use them. I use them fairly frequently. I'm not like a crazy sweep picker, but I like to use it when I can. Abe says, I'm a fan of reverb and delay. I play with that a lot, yeah. Cool. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to sharing some of my rig, and then I think I do think we're gonna wrap things up in a little bit. So if anyone else has any questions, let me know. Let me bring this back up, and let's see. So that's the amp sim I like to use, and then from there, I think after that, I actually send it through a power amplifier, and this is another free one. It's from Ignite Amps. It's the Tube Power Amplifier, or the TPA-1. Let's see if I can bring that up where you can see it. There we go. That's what it looks like right there. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It does something. Right now, I don't actually have this running through my rig, but when I record guitar, I have this. Again, the reason I don't have it on my live rig is because the more plugins you add, there's latency, and so it's just... that's going to throw off your playing. Like you're going to play, but the sound is going to come out a little later than you're actually hitting. So I try to use as few plugins as possible to recreate my sound. But this definitely adds, again, just a little more brightness and punch and just some life. I don't know. It's kind of a weird... It's definitely one of those like flavor plugins. It's not essential to creating like the main sound, but it's definitely a sweetener. Like it sounds good to add it. So that's kind of what that is. And then after that, then we go into the cabinet. So that's that. And then after that, yeah, basically just some EQ and stuff like that. But that's basically the gist of my setup, and that's what I use for my live streams, and that's mainly what I use for producing my sounds as well. But there are a few other plugins, after that. I'll usually recreate a sound in that, and then I'll bounce it out into a single audio file, bring that into a new project, and then I'll mix it for whatever it needs to sound good for the song. Hey, we got Gary wrapping up. That's my cue. Yeah, Gary's showing up right as we're kind of getting to an end here. Gary, let me know, what kind of guitar do you have? We've just been talking about guitars. I know I've seen it, but I can't remember what model guitar you have, and maybe you've got more than one guitar. You'll have to let me know. Great first stream. I definitely want to join another. Well, hey, thanks, Grain. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I stream every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I do different segments. So this segment is kind of a my process segment where I sort of share. This time we were just talking all about guitars. Sometimes I'll talk about like vocal techniques. Sometimes I'll break down a song I've produced and share little tips and tricks, things I've done. Basically just anything about song production, song performance, music techniques, singing, guitar, different instruments, just all kinds of different stuff. And then I think next week, I can actually let you know what next week is going to be. Next week should be... So next week is actually going to be my acoustic segment. So next week I'll be pulling out the acoustic guitar. I'll do sort of an acoustic version of some of my songs, and I'll do a few cover songs as well. I also do a game night segment, which is pretty fun. It's a tier list game that pretty much anyone can play, and we get a little competitive. And usually we'll play games, and then in between that I'll perform some songs, and then the last segment I do a request segment where I let you guys request original songs that I've written, and I play along with a backing track. I can actually play a little instrumental for you guys before I let you go. Yep, I didn't even see that, but Gray says, should play a song before you go, even if it's a short one. I'll play an instrumental. I do like to sing. Cool, yeah, Gray Knight likes to sing, yep. Gary Hubbs says, mine is an Area Pro 2ZZ, mid-'80s. Cool, my first guitar 30-plus years ago. That's awesome, man. Let's have a little peek at that. That is the Area Pro 2ZZ. I'm going to bring up something so we can actually look at that. Here we go. Whoops, I think I moved that by accident. Let me whoops, that's not sure why that's not letting me lower it. Okay, whatever. You guys should still be able to see it. Let me bring me back. There we go. Okay, there was I think it was the Area Pro ZZ. Is that what it was called? Area Pro 2 ZZ. Okay. Gonna look that up. We'll see what this thing looks like. Area Pro 2 ZZ. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I remember that. So kind of the, I can't remember what shape you call that, because it's not a V-neck, but it's I think the Gibson Explorer had that kind of shape, is probably the one that started that. But yep, that's a pretty rad guitar right there. I kind of like that one. See that one with the blue with the black trim right there? That's pretty sweet looking. That's cool. Asking, you have any pets? I have rats. Sound like you got pet rats. You know, I used to have, what was it? Yeah, Explorer. Yep. I used to have a guinea pig when I was a kid, and I also had a hamster. I don't know if you ever saw Lilo and Stitch 2. It was the second Stitch movie. But there was a villain in it named Dr. Hamsterville, and that's what I named my hamster. So Dr. Hamsterville. Never owned any rats. I don't currently have pets. I like animals. I'm not really a pet person. When I was a kid, it was fun to have them, but I kind of just prefer to enjoy animals outside. I don't really want to take care of them. Yeah, Guitar of Zeus. That's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, like a lightning bolt kind of thing. But yeah, if you've got names for your rats, you'll have to let me know what your rats' names are. All right, I'm going to play a couple songs for you guys, and then I think we're going to put a wrap on this. But guys, we'll definitely do this again, because there was more I could have talked about. And so, again, we'll do this again where we talk all about guitars and you know, gear and all that kind of stuff, our favorite guitarists and whatever it might be. All right, I'm going to try a couple things. I might be able to sing something, but I'll do an instrumental for you real quick. Since we're kind of trying to highlight the guitar anyway, it might be appropriate to do an instrumental. So this is a song I released. Let me check my tuning real quick. By the way, what tuner do you guys use? This is the Polytune. This is like the best tuner ever. So accurate. So good. At least it's a favorite of mine. I'm sure there's other really good tuners as well. But if you want a recommendation for a good tuner, the Polytune is a really good tuner. All right, I'm going to do a song, might do two, but this one is an instrumental, and Gary Knight, this one goes out, or Gray Knight, sorry. Gary and Abe, you guys as well, but Gray Knight, this one goes out to you. All right. Butter and Pea are my rats. Well, awesome. Well, be sure to tell them I said hello. All right. Yeah, Gray says fair, you know. I know some people, you know, everyone has their preferences, so I think it's cool. If you like pets, you know, I think that's great. All right, I hope you like this. This is an instrumental. This one's called Hard Goodbyes. What's funny is I started that song, and as I was playing, it was like, oh crap, I forgot this has a pretty tricky solo, and I haven't practiced in a while, so it wasn't too bad. There were a few little stumbles there I kind of had to get through, but hopefully it was still enjoyable. Let's see, I might play one more, and then I got to get going. It's getting late where I am, so I got to unpack and get home. Hey, thanks for the fire. Thanks, appreciate that. Yep, Gray says, wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thanks for the emojis, you know. Let's see here. Yeah, Headbanger, appreciate that. Yep. Gary Hubbs was saying a little Mustaine influence in some of these riffs, or my age is showing. Maybe unintentionally. I can't say I'm like super familiar with Mustaine's catalog, so. Oh, hey, David, appreciate that. I'm glad I stumbled upon this. Well, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Thanks. Yeah, nice. That was great. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. Yeah, I can't say direct Mustaine influence, but maybe some of the artists that did influence that sound were influenced by Mustaine. So I'll definitely, I'll make note of that though. I'll check out some of the music from that. That's kind of the cool thing about these streams. People they'll say stuff, they'll mention artists or whatever it might be, and it gives me good stuff to check out. All right, I'm going to try one more song. Now, again, I wasn't really planning on singing, and I'm also sitting down, so it's harder to sing while sitting down. But I'm going to give this a shot, and then I think we're going to put a wrap on this. Let me get this mic set up so I can sing. All right. All right, this is my latest release. I just put this song out, so it's available on Spotify or wherever you like to listen to music. You can download it for free from Bandcamp if you'd like to. This one is called Waiting. Hope you like it, and I hope it goes well, because I haven't really warmed up for this. This is where we are. Where else have we been? Circling this hill, round and round again. Look into my eyes, see if there's a change. Who I tried to be is not who I became. Everyone is gone, they found the way out. I will find it too, any second now. But when you find me, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. It seems so long ago since we first began. Now that it's too late, maybe this will end. Seeing no results has got me feeling down, but I'll be up again any minute now. But when you find me, I'm still waiting. I'm Thank you. Again, that one's called Waiting. Hope you all enjoyed that. Let me catch up with the chat, and then we're going to put a wrap on all of this. Whew. All right. Let's see here. Yep, catching up. Man, thanks, guys. Let's see here. Indirect influence is a real thing. I get it. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, David, appreciate you tuning in. Silas was saying, hey, guys, I was just out running with some people. I hope you had a good run. Hope that went well. Hey, thank you. David says, awesome. Appreciate the fire. You sound great, Quincy. Well, thank you, Silas. Appreciate that. Definitely saving this one on Spotify. Thank you, Grey Nut. Yeah, that song, again, it's called Waiting. Again, you can see the, I posted a video. I mean, it's just a track video, but it's on my YouTube channel, so if you want to like it and comment it. But the song is available on Spotify. Again, you can download it from Bandcamp. And pretty much wherever you like to listen to music, it should be available there. Just Quincy Kane. The song is called Waiting. Yeah, thanks for the emojis, Gary. Did not expect the metal voice. Yeah. Some harsh vocals in there. Yeah, a few growls and screams and stuff. Thanks for the fire, everyone. Woohoo. Amazing. Thank you. Great stuff, Quincy. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Dang, Quincy, you're living the dream, brother. Working towards it, trying to live it. Yep. And I hope you guys are living the dream as well, Whatever you're passionate about, definitely set out to do it. But, guys, thank you so much. Again, some new people, really appreciate you tuning in. Again, I do these streams every Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely check that out. You can find more of my music on my channel or on Spotify, wherever you want to look that up. But I do these streams again. Next week is going to be an acoustic stream. So actually, I know we kind of cranked it up today, but next week we're actually going to bring it down a little bit. I'm going to do an acoustic version of some of my songs and a few covers as well. But I hope to see you guys around. Definitely come hang out again. I appreciate you hanging out. Just a few last things that I will share with you all, and then we'll put a wrap on this. Trying to find my links here. Yeah. So again, guys, if you enjoyed that, and anyone, if you'd like to just share, already stuck in my head. Well, hey, thanks. That's probably the best compliment I can get. If I write something and it kind of gets stuck in your head, like I try to write like catchy melodies and riffs and that kind of thing. So that's great. Thanks, man. If you guys would like to support my music, there's a link there that I just posted, and I will pin it as well. And there's a few different ways. My biggest goal is just building an audience. So guys, just by listening on Spotify, sharing my music, sharing my videos, liking and commenting the videos, inviting people to the streams, all that kind of stuff, that really helps. Just getting more exposure for what I'm doing really helps. So that's one way. And again, there are links there to, if you click that link, it'll take you to a bunch of other ones. So there's Spotify. You can see my latest music video, or latest song release, and a few other things. Again, there are ways to support me financially. So there's a tip jar if you guys feel like leaving a tip. If you want to get some merch, I do have merch available. There's a store. You can get a hat or a t-shirt or whatever you'd like there. And then, again, Bandcamp, you can go there. You can download the songs for free, or you can make a contribution if you'd like to. Also, there's a link there to sign up for my email list. Again, this is really helpful if you want to stay up to date, if you want to know whenever, again, that was my latest release, but I'm already working on the next one. So if you want to stay up to date whenever I release music, whenever I put out videos and that kind of thing, you can sign up for my email list, and this allows me to notify you directly whenever I'm releasing a song or putting out a video, and that way you can stay up to date and catch it right when it's available. One last thing I'll mention is if you are thinking of, if you still like to download songs, again, you can download from Bandcamp, but tomorrow is actually Bandcamp Friday. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but basically the way Bandcamp works, if someone does make a purchase on Bandcamp, Bandcamp takes a share of that revenue. But on Bandcamp Fridays, the artist gets to keep all the revenue. So if you are interested in downloading some music and you'd like to support me, just know that tomorrow, Bandcamp Friday, that's a good day to do it. That way I'll get more of the revenue, and the share won't go to Bandcamp. So, but either way, again, whether you're just sharing my music, listening to it, just tuning in, commenting, liking the videos, all that stuff, all that really helps. Guys, it was really fun hanging out with you. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Again, I'll be back again next week. And I think that's going to be it for this. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening or morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Until next time.